All right, hey, Cleaning Nation, we are live from ISSA 2018 at the Swept booth. Mike's not looking right now, so we snuck in. We've set up camp. We paid him $0, but by Swept. That's fair, right? We get his booth, he gets, and we put up his terrible. Yeah, see, it works. All right. Today we are talking with Ricardo Gonzalez. He is the owner.
Yes,
correct?
I'm the owner.
Or one of the owners, I should say.
Yeah, I have two selling investors in there, but I'm mainly.
So he's the president, guy that runs it.
Yes,
and owner of. Yes, ma'am.
May I move your mic, please? I just want to make sure that we get like the best sound.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Absolutely, sure.
Okay.
We're not editing this out. This is in. Wait here. See how that's my wife. See how pretty she is? Huh? Oh, not her hand. No such as her hand. Yeah, he has good stuff.
Not a problem.
I'm still digging that accent.
Thank you.
If I could talk like that, I think I could rule the world.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I think I could. I'm gonna try.
sometimes I'm actually ashamed. That's the reason why I actually mentioned about my language, and I said, okay, just be careful because I mean I don't feel 100% comfortable with my English, but
there's some accents that aren't like, no offense, Cleaning Nation, but like New York, New Jersey, not my favorite. No? But the the accent in whatever part of Mexico, some accents don't sound as good. I'm digging it. Whatever it is, I'm loving it.
Thank you.
So anyway, Ricardo, Hygiene Merit, correct?
Hygiene Merit, that's correct.
One of the owners, the chief operating officer, president,
yes,
in charge of all this sort of stuff. Tell us a little about your company, and we actually did this before, and my bride, who I love, it's a good thing you're good looking, baby, I'm just saying.
Just saying.
I'm so screwed tonight. Something happened with the recording, so we missed a lot of it, and he said everything fantastic, so we're going to go again. Tell us all about your company. You started in Mexico with a company that was 3,000 strong, correct?
Yes, correct. So I started there in the year 2008. I was invited by the owner of this, which is one of the biggest janitorial companies in Mexico.
I would imagine.
He has over 3,000 employees today, and he is operating nationwide in Mexico. So I'm a chemical engineer. So obviously, it's for me the first time that I was invited to be part of this great company. I said, well, I'm not so sure if I will be the right fit for you. And
how much chemical engineering do most janitorial companies? I'm guessing not much.
Not too much, but there is something in there, and I believe that maybe that's one of the advantages if you know a little bit and you have a little bit of a background there on the chemical side, on the chemistry. But obviously you don't need to be part of that.
But it's not a requirement.
Absolutely, that's right. So well, I started there, and so we had there some things in there. Obviously, it was a family operated company. So we had there some problems in there. On the other side, also living in Monterrey, which is on the northern part of Mexico, we had there some.
Is that on the Texas side?
That's actually 2.5 hours from the border from Laredo.
South of Laredo, Texas.
South of Laredo, Texas. That's right. Which is pretty convenient for us living in Monterrey, going there to the border, Laredo, McAllen, San Antonio, obviously, which is a place where I'm living at the moment. So it was a matter of time in which I decided, it will be a great opportunity if we can expand operations and we can start operating in San Antonio, Texas. Okay. So that was, we started maybe thinking about this in the year 2009, and by August of year 2010, that's finally when we decided to move. So I moved with my family from Monterrey to San Antonio.
And so far, what's your favorite thing about coming to the States and your least favorite thing?
The favorite part, speaking about San Antonio has the best of both worlds. I mean, you have the Hispanic community.
A lot of Hispanic culture.
There is, I have heard it's like over 60% of the population is Hispanic. So I mean, there could be days in which there is no need of speaking English.
Really?
I mean, it's as easy as that and as convenient as that for us. But on the other side also you have the great advantages of living in this great nation. I mean, you have a great system, amazing things, and I mean, I can't complain. This has been a great journey for us, and this is something that we have been dreaming for a long time, and finally I think everything worked together.
So you say you and your family, is it something your family's wanted to move to the States as well?
Yes. So I'm actually have 4 kids, being married for 20 years, and so yes, it's been wonderful. It's been a blessing living here in this great nation, and we're very, very happy.
I gotta say, we'll get a little political for a second, but I feel like lately it's been politically incorrect to say what a great country we live in, and I just love people coming from other countries and going, hey, certainly not perfect, but my God, it's a pretty dang good place to live.
Absolutely, it's a very nice place, and doing business in a legal way. I mean, and I understand why the political things are happening at this moment, but I mean, this is a great country. Unfortunately, maybe in Mexico sometimes we might be very well prepared, and sometimes we're looking for better opportunities, and I mean, this nation offers those great opportunities. I mean, and this is something that I have learned. It's been a journey which is not easy, telling you about the lessons that I learned when I moved from Mexico to San Antonio or to the States. It's different rules. I mean, it's 100% different rules, and sometimes we're a little bit, I will say, selfish, thinking that we already learned and that we can just replicate, copy, paste, and do exactly the same thing. Biggest mistakes, I will say, it's trying to do exactly what I learned in Mexico and trying to replicate that here in the States.
Without saying, hey, this is a different culture, these are different people. Right. Some of the concepts are going to work, but the way that we implement them, we got to go different.
It's 100% different. So yes, it's. I mean, just quoting janitorial services in Mexico, it was just based on the number of janitors. I mean, you need 1 or 2 full-time guys, which is pretty common in Mexico to see a janitor which will be working there as a day porter. They will be working there all day.
I'm guessing the labor there much cheaper?
It's cheaper. It will be a fraction of what we're paying here.
So you don't have to be specific. Like here, you kind of got to nail your numbers in terms of, is this 100 hours a month or 120 hours a month or 70 hours a month? Whereas in janitor, like, it's 3 guys. We're good.
Yes, okay. Absolutely. That's one of the biggest changes or the biggest difference there compared from Mexico to the States. So that's one thing. The other thing also, it's we're very kind of a general, we're a very general service contractor in there. So we're providing, you name it. It's like stripping and waxing, window cleaning, upholstery,
painting,
maintenance, whatever. We were providing that, which is it's not so difficult. You have labor, you have plenty of labor. There is too much offer, so that's
we
the good
got labor,
part.
you got money. Let's sort this out.
We'll work it out. That's right. So that's the thing. Now. In here, obviously, I learned the hard way, and now I understand that here labor was much more expensive. We need to be very careful, and one of the things...
Maybe more specific skill set in terms of just because I can paint doesn't mean I can do electrical or be a cleaner or on down the road. All right, so I really appreciate the background and the feedback. What's going on in your world? How can I help and give you some coaching today, my friend?
I mean, we have been growing, so we started from scratch. Well, let me tell you, it's a little bit about my background. So we started with that company. It was like 4 years after that, we decided that we were just going, we found out that we were going in different directions, different visions.
So you came here with that company?
So with that company.
And then a couple years later, you decided to part ways?
I step up, and I step back, and I started Hygiene Merit. So now I'm I own the majority of this company. I started with that 4 years ago, so we started mainly from scratch. So it has been a great journey, a lot of lessons learned, and one of the things that I will say, it's just this growth stage. It's just having all the systems in place, just be ready for the next step that we'll be facing there. So I mean, sometimes as an engineer, I'm a little bit structured, and I'm trying to have everything in place before taking the decision. So maybe that's one of the things that you can help me. It's how we can actually just go and maybe take a slight risk, and then just saying, okay, it's the normal process, and just finding that way how you will be doing the things better once you're there.
Well, first of all, I got to say, I think as I coach people, so there's kind of 2 pieces to everything. One is the tactics and strategies we're going to use, and a lot of people have that in terms of how do I acquire customers, how do I know what the right customers, how do I price, how do I increase employee retention. So there's all the tactical stuff, which is really important. But without the foundational piece of them being willing and able to grow as entrepreneurs and as business owners is impossible. So I love that you started with, hey, I maybe personally need to grow in this area, and then of course all the tactics in the world aren't going to help if you're not flexible and ready to do that. So what I hear you saying is, and again, the cool thing is it's not like it's I wouldn't even say it's a negative or a weakness. It's just a strength. It's like, how can I best use the strength of ultimate organization? And again, an engineer, right? That's a very linear personality, which in some parts of the business world is going to serve the heck out of you. You're going to be your best friend. In other parts, it'll kill you.
As an entrepreneur, sometimes that not necessarily works 100%. No, it's I mean, you need to be a little bit more flexible on that kind of thing, you know.
So how are your partners? Are they more similar to you, or more, or are they, first of all, I should say, are they active in the business?
They're not active in business, so I'm actually responsible for the whole operation, so that's...
I'm assuming you've got upper management folks alongside of you that are employed?
Yes, they're helping me. Still, we have a very lean organization, so that has been also a challenge. Now I need actually to start hiring the right people so that I can actually replicate the systems that we have in place.
So I love the systems, and again, if I had to... And it's tough because I'm probably on the other side, right? It sounds like on the end of the spectrum, you're more systematized, more linear, more, and I'm more the other guy that's like, we'll figure this crap out all the way down.
That's right.
And if I had to pick one, I'd probably be a little more to your side, so I love that. But for me, what I had to do is hire guys like you, and I think Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak of Apple are a really good kind of picture of. Jobs had some technical ability, certainly, but he was not Wozniak in terms of, Wozniak was probably more like you, but he needed Jobs. And Jobs probably would have never been who he was without the Wozniak behind him. So first and foremost, do you have people in your leadership team that, and it's tough, right? Because I always want to hire guys like me because I value that skill, but I need guys like you. Do you have guys in your leadership team at this point that kind of balance you out?
Yes, I'm actually in the middle of that process, so I'm hiring those persons. One of the things that I have learned is that we need to be very fast actually firing people and slow hiring. So that's one of the lessons that I learned.
Easy to say, very difficult to do.
Sometimes I'm so structured that I will think maybe 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 times before actually firing a person. So that actually it's costing me a lot. And sometimes I'm fast because it's urgent and I need to. So those are the challenges that I'm facing at the moment. No? So I'm in the middle of that, and I know and I'm aware that I need more people so that I can actually start delegating more of the stuff that I'm doing at the moment.
Yeah, so are you finding yourself, like, here's one of my favorite questions to ask when I'm starting on a coaching relationship is, what percentage of your time would you say is in the business with day-to-day operations in terms of putting out fires, talking to customers, ordering supplies, paying bills, doing payroll, all that sort of nonsense, versus on the business, which would be strategic thinking, creating systems, hiring key people? What breakdown do you think you're at currently?
I will say that's a great question. I will say that maybe 6 months ago I was like maybe 70% in business and maybe 70, 80% and 20% more strategic. Okay. So now I'm actually in the process in which I'm much more intentional and trying to be more strategic, and I'm actually delegating, being so structured. That's a challenge for me. So I will say maybe now I will be maybe in 50-50. Maybe I think there is some progress, but still there is room for improvement.
So the feedback I would give you, Ricardo, and Cleaning Nation is really, I love what you're doing. First and foremost, being able to identify where the weaknesses are is huge. Yep. And if you're anything like me, I'm really quick to notice my strengths and then forget about the weaknesses until they kick me in the soft spots. And then I realize, gosh, I've got to fill in that hole. So I think that self-awareness is a huge start. Second, the fact that you are transitioning and recognizing, hey, I don't need, as great as Ricardo is, I don't need 10 Ricardos. I need 1 or 2 Ricardos and 2 or 3 Mikes, and just kind of different skill sets. And I love that you're already in that process. And then third, that transition, if you went from just in 6 months 80-20 to 50-50, I think that combination, not only for you but most fast growth companies, that's what I found. We hit that fast growth. The tendency oftentimes to do the opposite of what you've done and mire ourselves in the details, especially the guys and gals that are the engineer types, very detail oriented. Instead of doing the letting go, which is what needs to happen during the growth, we hold on tighter, which is a great way to strangle our own growth. So I just want to encourage the things that you're doing. What I hear you saying is you've identified I don't want to say weaknesses, but some blind spots in your area. You're building a management team to support that, which is awesome, because none of us are, God knows I'm not perfect. We all need to fill that in. And then third, you're really actively moving out of working in the business and working on it. So my coaching would just be encouragement on the things that you're doing. So questions, comments, remarks before we hit the lightning round?
I don't know if maybe there is some practical way of being more intentional. Sometimes you might be caught there in the operation and it's just having all these problems, and it's the cleaning industry, there is always complaints and there's always problems and there's always things that happen with the people. So I don't know if there is any way or any practical way for reminding yourself, just that's urgent but it's not important, so what I need to do, it's just being more conscious, or I don't know if there is any thoughts on that?
Absolutely. I'm so glad that you asked that, because that's such a good question. So absolutely, the coaching that we give is to box our time. And I got some of these concepts in the 4-Hour Work Week. I don't know if you're familiar with that book. If not, 4-Hour Work Week, Tim Ferriss, great book.
Okay.
But the way that I've kind of modeled that from my experience being in business for 20 years and also kind of specifying it to the cleaning business is I call it boxing time. So many of us, especially, you're a bright guy, clearly, we overestimate what we're able to do. So I'm like, I can multitask, and I'm wrong. I can't. I can switch my attention really quickly, but I can, either I'm talking to you or I'm looking at the cute girl walking by, i.e. my bride, and then I can come back and forth real quick and maybe but I'm never multitasking. I'm either this or I'm that, and then maybe I'm good at going back and forth, but we're terrible at it. So instead of a lot of folks that are bright, like you, and I think I'm bright, we think we're good at that. The reality is we're not. So instead of trying to get better at multitasking, which is a fool's errand, because we're not, our minds aren't meant to do that, we need to create some roadblocks for ourselves so we can do one thing at a time and do that really well. So the way I do, and especially if we're switching the types of conversation we're having, so if you and I are having an employee review and you're a key customer, and somebody walks in and talks about or not a key customer, key employee. Someone comes in and talks about somebody didn't show up, or something's been stolen, or the car got crashed. I'm moving from this type of conversation not only to a different thing, but to a totally different kind of conversation. When I come back, I'm 20 minutes before I can get back into the flow of work.
Yes, correct.
So when we box time, we make sure that we're doing the same types of things all at once. So I might have a half hour in the morning and a half hour in the afternoon, and that's the only time my customers or employees, and I know this is scary, can get a hold of me.
Okay.
So they know from 8 to 8:30,
okay,
I might be available for the car was crashed, this guy's not showing up, a customer's pissed off, whatever random nonsense they got going on. But at 8:31, that's not going to happen.
Okay.
And at 4 o'clock or whatever the other time is, I will start picking up those calls again.
Okay.
And the magical thing is, two things happen. One, your life gets so much better because all you're doing is focusing on high level stuff, and you put a box around. I will do low level stuff 1 hour a day, and in that time, I'm going to solve problems, and I'm going to work at my business, and I'm going to do all the stuff that isn't really high level, but just kind of put out all the fires. And then I'm going to get right back out of it. Not only is that happening for you, but you train your employees. What'll happen magically, first of all, they'll call you 3 times in a row because you ignore the call and they'll call you again. And you ignore that and they call you again. But what'll happen is they'll start learning, well, he's not going to deal with it until 4 o'clock. 90% of the time, by 4 o'clock, they're like, hey, Bob, what happened? Oh, I figured it out. I solved it.
Okay.
And again, so you start empowering them. So not only does your life get better, but they start getting empowered, and same with your customers. All these emergencies that they're like, oh, I'm going to rip him in half, and I've got so much frustration by the time 4 o'clock comes around. It's fine. Maybe they've got a small... things seem to change. So it protects you and your ability to work on your business and focus. It teaches and empowers your employees, which is super fantastic. And it teaches your customers that the things that they think are emergencies typically aren't emergencies. And guess what? If it is an emergency, hey, my building's on fire, you're going to say, call the fire department. I'm not equipped to handle that anyway. So most emergencies don't need your attention. They need some attention, just to have to be you. So did that answer your question, Andy?
Absolutely, sure. Now, let me ask you another question related to that. It's... based on your experience, do you have like a specific time during the day in which you feel much more productive? Are you being intentional in separating that slot of time there for those things that are really important for you?
So
or it could be any
there's
time?
2 answers. I absolutely have my time. For me, I'm a caffeine addict and a morning guy. So
it's morning.
I'm so old, like 9 o'clock, 9:30, my wife's up and ready to go. I'm done. I'm such an old man. But I'm up at 6, no problem. 5 o'clock, no problem. And I'm ready to roll. That may or may not be you. So first and foremost, just like we talked about, you got to identify where your strengths are. And I absolutely plan whatever important conversations I'm going to have, those happen in the morning. When it's kind of BS stuff that's got to get done, that happens in the afternoon. So absolutely, but that's a matter of not like morning's right for everybody. It's right for me, but you got to kind of get your rhythms.
Great. Thank you.
Cool. Questions, comments, rude remarks? Or you want to hit the lightning round?
Nope.
No rude remarks? I'll take them. All right, cool. We're going to hit the lightning round. I'm going to ask you 3 quick questions. You're going to give 3 amazing answers. Question number 1, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received, personally, professionally, just in your time on this earth?
Best piece of advice, I will say it's whatever your passion. I mean, whatever it's, I tend to be much more rational, so I'm trying to connect my heart and doing the things that I really love. That's the best piece of advice. I mean, we are much more productive. We don't feel tired when we're doing those things. So I tried that once. I heard from a good friend, and it's absolutely right. No, it's. I mean, there is so much more things when you're doing it and you're connecting the heart.
So different when you've worked a 12-hour day and you come home with more energy than when you started, than when you come home whipped and go, I can't do this tomorrow, or I have to do this tomorrow.
Absolutely.
So I couldn't agree more. All right, second question. What's the biggest mistake, and this is what I'm like dying to hear, that you've made so we can learn from you and make different mistakes?
Biggest mistake, I will say, based on the ways I was raised and my structure, it's sometimes just thinking too much about an opportunity. And sometimes when I'm actually deciding to take that step, maybe it's too late. There is some other guys that are already doing that part. So I will say it's just being more risk taker.
So maybe overanalyzing, kind of going too slow.
Yeah, I will say those are the words, overanalyzing.
You mentioned that with employees, and I've done that so many times where I fire somebody, and I sweat over it, and I stress about it, and then I fire them, and the next day all the employees are like, what took you so long? I'm like, oh my gosh. In retrospect, obvious, but we can't let ourselves do that.
How do you say that? It's a paralysis for analysis? Analysis for paralysis?
Yes.
Okay, that's the way
we have very fancy rhymey words. I'm guessing that won't translate. All right, last question. I found a lot of Clean Nation readers. I know I'm a big reader. Always want to know the latest and greatest book. What's the best book you read recently that you can share with Clean Nation?
That's a great question. It's sometimes, I don't know, for some reason, that's a challenge for me reading, and sometimes I will just start a book and I will never...
Do you read in Spanish or in English? If you could prefer,
actually,
if you can have both, what do you read?
I would prefer in Spanish,
Okay.
but I can actually read on both languages,
problem.
no problem. But that's a good question. I will say maybe in Spanish it will be easier for me. But sometimes I just start one and I start developing that stress that I'm actually not able there to achieve the whole thing, and I can finish, so I can actually not start. I'm not starting the other one, so I'm just piling there some $5 there in my drawer in there. So that's a challenge. So never able there actually to finish an entire book. So I was recommended there by a good friend. There is a great tool which is Read It For Me. This is a website, and it's actually executive.
Readitforme.com?
Readitforme.com. No,
cool.
It's actually readitfor.me.
Readitfor.me?
Yeah, that's right.
We'll put a link
I'm
to that
almost sure that it's but if not, Google it there, and it's executive summaries there, and you have there hundreds of books in there.
And is it audio or do you read it?
And it's audio. You can read it, and there is video. So you have like 3 different formats. So it's great.
So you can kind of start
in 10-15 minutes, you can actually go through a whole book, whatever you like. It's on the sales side, on your personal side, or whatever area you're looking for. You'll select there, you'll filter, and you'll find their specific book. And in 10-15 minutes, that's it.
Right,
I mean,
so instead of the best book ever, Ricardo gives us the best tool ever.
The best tool ever. That's right.
Go to readit.me. We'll put a link, whatever it is.
Yeah, that's right.
Ricardo, thanks for joining, man. I appreciate you sharing your story.
You.
I appreciate your passion. I appreciate you. I know Cleaning Nation appreciates you. Cleaning Nation, if you want to see Ricardo's show notes page, go to growmycleaningcompany.com. His page will be there. All of our free resources, everything we offer right there, growmycleaningcompany.com. Check it out now. I will see you there.
Congratulations! You are now 16% smarter. Still can't get enough cleaning goodness? Go to www.growmycleaningcompany.com for more of the good stuff. Ever want to be rich and famous? Owners of cleaning companies, as well as industry experts, can apply to be featured on the show by emailing our producer Natalie at support@growmycleaningcompany.com. Until then, don't miss out on all the latest cleaning industry lovin' at www.growmycleaningcompany.com. Check it out now.